Listening. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you're so motivated to do so. This is Wonders of a Black Woman. I wanted to explore some of Kamala Harris's record as a district attorney as well as the attorney general in California and compare it to some of the criticisms that people in the Black community have of Donald Trump. In particular, we're going to compare the Central Park Five to the California Thousands. Okay, we're going to compare Donald Trump putting an ad in a newspaper about the Central Park Five because, like, they confessed to the crime. A lot of people thought they did it. He put an ad in the paper saying that they should get the death penalty. Turns out these guys did not do it. Should he have put an ad in the newspaper chiming in, giving... Well, a lot of people at that time thought that they were guilty. They jumped to conclusions because when these district attorneys say the person did it or people did it, the general public tends to think that they did it. And it's unfortunate that these young men were railroaded by this system. But Kamala Harris, she spearheaded the system in California. So we're going to compare the Central Park Five to the California Thousands. And we're also going to look at why Black people who know that the criminal justice system is the way that it is, why would they support someone who helped destroy thousands of Black and Latinos' lives in California?
Joining me now is, and I say this proudly, New York City Councilman Yusef Salaam, a Democrat, and one of the Central Park Five, now the exonerated Five. Councilman Salaam, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Let me go specifically to this. In 1989, Donald Trump took out newspaper ads here in New York calling for the death for you and 4 other Black and Latino teenagers after you were arrested and charged with a rape and murder of a white woman in Central Park that none of you committed. You were not exonerated till 2002. You did several years in jail. Others did as well. And Kari Weiss, who you know works closely with us, National Action Network, could be on my radio show in the morning, did 13 years before you all were exonerated. Now, since then, Trump, even as president, has never acknowledged or admitted he was wrong in your case. This week, he was convicted of a felony that could mean prison time for the former president in the same very court complex that you were sentenced in, as well as the other 4, and that some of us now.
I just want to stop it there for a minute. Has Kamala Harris ever apologized to those that she railroaded into jail in California? We're not talking about a citizen who had an opinion. Did she ever apologize to those people that were railroaded and put in prison under her direction as DA or Attorney General in California? Did she apologize to them? Those who have gotten millions of dollars from lawsuits and were finally released after years in prison. Did she apologize to them? I just want to highlight the hypocrisy here. Because we've got to stop being stupid as a people. So when you all, I just want to see the first Black woman president. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because I just want to see the first Black woman. First of all, she's not Black. Her father is mixed and her mother is Indian. Save that crown and that title for an actual real Black woman who becomes the first president. So all of that, I just want to see. You know, People vote, they go and they cast their vote for the most stupid reasons. I want to see it too. But the bottom line is I want to see someone qualified who actually has done a good job. You can't sit here and ignore the fact that this woman has, many people are still in jail today because of her that are innocent. So this person gets to railroad all of these Black and Latino and poor parents into jail in California. But you want to talk about Donald Trump took out an ad for the Central Park 5. He took out an ad in the paper for the Central Park 5. So I'm not going to vote for him because he took out an ad in the paper because he thought the Central Park 5 should get the death penalty, and turned out they really didn't do it. But somebody who was an actual district attorney and an attorney general who railroaded thousands of Black people into jail. Oh, I just want to see her become the president. Ooh, it's got to be a curse.
Everybody more valiant than your own mother, where you were wrongly convicted. What struck me is that even though some of us talked about we should go down and bring this up, you never went down in front of that court one time, never said a word during the trial, even though he called for your death. He never spoke out on all of the race cases in New York but yours. What were you thinking when you looked down Center Street where you stood and saw this jury convict Donald Trump on 31 felonies?
You know, Reverend Al, first of all, thank you for having me. I want to first echo the fact that for many, many years, I called it the criminal system of injustice because of what happened to me and people just like me. And when it came to Donald
Trump, it was the same thing. So I'm glad that Donald Trump went through what he went through so he can understand what Black and Latino and poor people go through every day. And they're not wealthy, and they're not former presidents. This is what Black people go through in this country every day, railroaded by the criminal justice system. Being considered a threat. So the police officer, look at what happened with Sonia Massey. The police officer just imagined in his mind that she was going to douse him with hot water in his face. So he decided to shoot her in the face. Now let's just look at what Kamala Harris did in California.
Never in a million years I would have thought that they were going to charge me for Sel's murder. I never talked to no detective, no police officer, no DA, nobody.
Just arrested and then charged.
Arrested and charged, that's it.
Was the first time you saw Kamala Harris in person the day that the verdict was issued?
She showed up at the two most pivotal times in this first trial, and me being convicted and me being sentenced. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
That's what it felt like, celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like. The reactions I get when I tell people my story is, they say it's the worst nightmare. You know, it's the closest thing to dying.
Jamal, I'm gonna
still, you know, trying to get a conviction by all means necessary. When I was arrested for it, the community knew I didn't do it. And it was here we go again. See, this is why we don't trust, you know, law enforcement, because it gets to a point where somebody who didn't do something goes to jail for it. I don't have no history of crime. What's up, boy? I have a history of being around in the community, but that doesn't mean that I'm a suspect. I'm like, oh man, I'll be out within 72 hours. They're gonna figure this out. They're gonna clear this up.
And then when you found out what the evidence was that they supposedly had you on, there wasn't much there. Can you describe what it was?
They had a woman saying that she seen me kill Sel. The second witness that they had really wasn't a witness at all. She said anything that the police officers wanted her to say, and they said that her recollection of the of the events was extremely credible. So that's what ultimately got the arrest warrant.
The District Attorney of San Francisco, Kamala Harris, appeared in the courtroom during your trial twice.
Yeah, the 2 times that Kamala Harris showed up to my trial was when I got convicted, and also when they laid down the sentencing.
When you saw her on the day that the verdict was handed down, did you take that as a bad sign?
It felt to me that she was well aware about my case, and she was there to set her presence, almost take pride in getting a conviction.
So he was in jail for 6 years. 6 years. Before he was able to get some sort of movement on evidence that he wasn't even anywhere around to have been able to commit this crime.
People that's fighting against my appeal to keep the conviction is the Attorney General office. I learned it reading, their reply to my appeal, and you see Kamala Harris' name at the bottom. And now it's starting to feel a little personal.
When you win the $13.1 million, it's a massive settlement. Did you feel like that was enough?
There's not an amount that could get back those 7 years. That was 6.5 years that I spent in prison. But instead of me coming home feeling like I was a victim, I wanted to prove that I'm a survivor, and I will not let my story go unheard.
There are thousands of cases like this. Thousands. And not all of them are lucky enough to be able to win on appeal. Not all of them are lucky enough to get out of jail. Now, you're going to have to dig back in the crates when you look at anything from 2024 or when she became the vice presidential candidate, when Biden had picked her, when they were running in 2020, up until especially now in 2024, a lot of things are going to be scrubbed and whitewashed. Because we all know, as we should know by now, that the media is biased. Look at how long they covered up Biden's cognitive decline. They're liars and they're biased. And articles can be posted online. They could be scrubbed from online. So when you really want to dig into her record, you talk about the Central Park Five. Well, here's 5 times prosecutor Kamala Harris got it wrong. And this is according to the Washington Examiner. 5 times prosecutor Kamala Harris got the wrong guy. So these are people that were actually convicted under Kamala Harris, and they actually were innocent, and they actually served time in jail. This isn't somebody who just is a celebrity that has an opinion. This is the problem with the criminal justice system in this country. Too many people that really didn't do it are sitting in jail because of people like Kamala Harris. They just want a conviction. That prison has to have a certain capacity of bodies in there. It's the prisonal industrial complex. It's a money thing. And people that are a part of feeding that system are people like Kamala Harris and these judges. So the article is from September of 2019, and it reads, Kamala Harris has been facing criticism from fellow Democrats over her criminal justice record during her time as top California prosecutor. During last month's Democratic debate, for example, we all know about what Tulsi Gabbard said when she slammed Harris for blocking DNA testing that could have exonerated death row inmate Kevin Cooper while she was district attorney of San Fran. Cooper was convicted of murdering Douglas Peggy Ryan, their 10-year-old daughter Jessica, and an 11-year-old Christopher Hughes, a family friend, during a home invasion in Chino Hills area in 1983. For the past 15 years, his attorneys have been fighting for advanced testing of DNA evidence, which they claim could exonerate their client, a move that was opposed by Harris while she was Attorney General of California. Last year, after the case was publicized by New York Times, Nick Kristof, Harris backtracked and told the paper that she felt awful about this. Oh, I feel awful about it. Oh, I'm ruining people's lives. Oh well. And now supports the testing, but did not explain what prompted her change of heart. The Cooper saga is not the only case where Harris has pitted herself against the culprit who claims to have been wrongfully convicted. Here are 5 other times where Harris has bucked against criminal justice advocates. 1. When her staff prosecuted a reality star who was framed by police. Harris was DA of San Fran in February of 2010 when 29-year-old Jamon Truelove, a former reality star and inspiring hip-hop artist, was convicted of murdering 28-year-old based on the testimony of a lone witness. There's that lone witness. After Truelove was sentenced to 50 years in prison, Harris praised the brave eyewitness for a conviction, but failed to mention that the woman had been paid over $60,000 by the prosecution and given new housing under the Witness Protection Program. An appeals court later overturned the verdict after finding that prosecutors working under Harris at the DA's office misrepresented the witness to the jury. In March, Truelove was awarded $13 million settlement from the city due to allegations of police misconduct, including manipulating the witness and fabricating evidence. There was a lot of this going on out there. Right up under her nose, brought to her attention. Number 2, when her office defended the sexual assault conviction of an electrician based on a technicality. Number 2, when her office defended the sexual assault conviction of an electrician based on a technicality. Harris was Attorney General of California in 2015 when her office fought to uphold a sexual assault conviction against a former electrician named George Gage. Gage, 79 years old, had been found guilty of sexually abusing his ex-wife's daughter in 1999 and was serving a 70-year sentence. Gage appealed, and a judge determined that prosecutors had withheld exculpatory evidence, including the accuser's medical records and a statement from her mother calling her a pathological liar. Harris's office successfully fought against a retrial on a procedural technicality, and Gage is still sitting in prison at the time of this article because he was 79 years old. He may or may not still be alive now. So he probably died in jail. Though there was evidence that was suppressed by Kamala Harris's office. Okay? Number 3, when she fought compensation for a wrongfully convicted gang shooter. Wrongfully convicted. In 2002, Rafael Madrigal was convicted of a drive-by gang shooting and the attempted murder of Richard Aguilera in East Los Angeles. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. 7 years later, a federal judge tossed the conviction due to inadequate legal defense by his attorney. The court found that his lawyer failed to introduce exculpatory evidence, including several alibis that said Madrigal was 35 miles away at work during the time of the attempted murder. After his release from prison, Madrigal asked the California Victim Compensation and Government Claims Board to compensate him $282,000 for the wrongful conviction. Kamala Harris, the state attorney general at the time, recommended that the board deny his request, arguing that he had not sufficiently proven his innocence. If If he's 35 miles away and there are witnesses that he was at work, hello. All right. Number 4, when her office sought to retry a man who had been set up by police. This happens a lot. People are set up by the cops. Now, I'm not going to trash all law enforcement. Of course, there are plenty of decent law enforcement, but we all are not naive. There are plenty of bad cops, okay? Remember, their job is to get bodies in those prisons. So this is number 4, when her office sought to retry a man who had been set up by police in 92, Karamed Conley was arrested for a drive-by gang shooting that killed 2 men in San Fran after prosecution's key witness testified that 18-year-old Conley had privately confessed to the murder. Conley was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Just off the word of one person, this young 18-year-old is going to be sitting the rest of his life in jail? Oh my goodness. So he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole, although the witness denied under oath that he had been compensated as part of the case. A subsequent investigation found that a detective had paid the witness. The witness had also been given housing by the prosecution and placed in a witness protection program. In December 2010, a judge vacated Conley's conviction, citing voluminous evidence that the witness had lied. Harris was serving as district attorney of San Francisco at the time when her office initially sought to retry the case, according to reports. So she knows this person lied. This person was given all this money to lie against this young 18-year-old child, because he's still a baby, right? To spend the rest of his life in jail. She knew that this witness was lying. There was no evidence. Even the judge said there's voluminous evidence that the witness had lied. She's still going to turn around and try to keep this young man in jail. So 1 month later, after Harris left to start her new role as Attorney General, here it is. People keep elevating this. It must be a deal with the devil that she has. People just keep seeing that she is no good, and they just keep elevating her and elevating her. I don't understand it. So 1 month later, after Harris left to start her new role as California Attorney General, the San Francisco District Attorney's Office agreed not to retry Conley. He later received $3.5 million settlement from the city for wrongful conviction. Number 5, I really do believe that Kamala Harris was behind a lot of these criminal cases and civil cases. This is my opinion, that is against Trump, because a lot of those cases, it's just political persecution. You know, and they're running this campaign, the prosecutor versus the felon. We don't need a prosecutor, we need a president. So this is number 5 from this list. When she fought to keep a misidentified neo-Nazi in prison after his case was tossed. In 1998, a neo-Nazi gang member named Daniel Larson was convicted of possession of a concealed weapon and sentenced to 27 years in prison. Police officers said they saw Larson throw a 6-inch knife under a car during a confrontation outside of Los Angeles bar. After the trial, 9 eyewitnesses, including a North Carolina cop, came forward to dispute that Larson had been the man holding the knife. A judge determined in 2010 that Larson's original attorney had failed to interview any witnesses at all and overturned the conviction. Despite the ruling, Harris, as state attorney general, blocked Larson's release for 2 years. Got to keep those bodies in that prison because they need that free slave labor. You know, even though 9 witnesses, including a cop, said this guy didn't do it, and the case was overturned, she still kept this man sitting in jail for 2 years Despite the ruling, Harris, as state's attorney general, blocked Larson's release for 2 years. After Larson was finally let out, Harris appealed his release by arguing that he missed a paperwork deadline. Now, I just want to wrap that up. That is, when you want to compare Donald Trump putting an ad in the paper for the Central Park 5, why don't you bring up this report from the Washington Examiner, the 5 times, these are 5 times that prosecutor Kamala Harris got the wrong guy and people actually served time in jail under her leadership. There are thousands of more people who were affected by prosecutorial misconduct, witness tampering, evidence tampering. She opposed the attorney general looking into police shootings, just all kinds of things. I can't believe anyone that really wants any criminal justice reform in this country would want to elevate this woman. And really, the only people that's really going to suffer the most are black people in this country. They're bringing a bunch of illegals in your neighborhoods. They're gentrifying your neighborhoods. They're shutting you out of jobs. They're elevating these illegals, giving them the comfort of free housing, food, clothing, medical. They're elevating them in ways that they would never give you that kind of support or leg up. And when black people are shut out of the job market, more black people end up in jail. So you think about that the next time you see ads running about the prosecutor versus the felon, and they're making light of her record as a prosecutor, and they're making light of her record as someone that's bringing illegal immigrants in here and comforting them with all kinds of taxpayer money and not doing anything for black people. You think about that the next time where you say, I'm just going to vote for her because she's a black woman and I want to see a black woman president. Sometimes it's black people that get into political positions that'll do worse to you than a white person getting in there will do. And you have to think about that. You can't look at race. You have to look at their policies and vote accordingly. Nothing about voting rights says that if you're black, you must only vote up and down ticket Democrats. Or there may be some good Democrats on the lower portion of your ballot that may be good people. Sure, vote for them. But the top of the ticket is just basically death to black Americans in this country. They're not going to bring anything good for our people. Between Biden's 1994 crime bill and Kamala Harris with what she's done as a prosecutor and what she's done with bringing all these illegals in here and giving them taxpayers' money, gentrifying these black communities, shutting blacks out of jobs. Between her and Biden, they have done so much in modern time to oppress black people. When someone shows you who they are, you've got to believe them. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you're so motivated to do so. This is Wonders of a Black Woman. Peace.